Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Build Room. I'm here with Kenny and Evan. It's a nice flannel you got on, Kenny.
Thank you.
It's a good change of scenery.
I'm glad you approve.
Kenny thought he'd dress up for us today.
Yeah. No, we were just saying we're in the in-between state of weather. It's like kind of chilly in the morning. It gets kind of warm throughout the day, and then it's kind of chilly again at night.
Mm-hmm.
So, next week's supposed to be like 80 degrees.
That's insane.
So
I'm officially at the stage where I have my window open all night, and last night it was magnificent.
nice and chilly.
Nice and chilly. But then it makes it hard to get out of bed.
Yep.
That's true. But, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. So anyways, that's the weather. That's the weather update we got for you. Let's see here. Oh, shop updates. We got any? How many headlights you seal this week?
20.
You had to get Kenny.
Yep. Kenny's been helping me caulk and rub the lights.
Okay.
That's just what it's called. That's not anything. But Kenny's a good caulk and rubber. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, we got 20 headlights we're working on. We did 10 yesterday, and it took like half the day.
And they're all Super Duties.
Yep.
They're all new Super Duties.
And they're all black.
Yep. Which is kind of odd because a lot of times when we get these big batches, you have a good variation of color.
Yeah.
But
there's 2 but they're still black. They're just sparkly black.
So, question: if you're doing your truck, would you rather say you have a new Super D like this? Are you gonna do a little bit of color match in there, or are you gonna go all black, or does it kind of depend on what you do with the rest of the truck?
I think it depends on what you do with the rest of the truck. Because I've seen it where, like, if you have a black truck, then I'd probably go all black. But if like I have a white truck, I might leave some of the chrome. I might do a clear reflector. I might just paint it all white. It just kind of depends.
I've seen that, yeah. On a lot of those trucks where they're not leaving the chrome, they'll just do them all black, and then they do a little bit of color match here and there, but then they do a lot of the, like if it's that marsh gray color, they'll do a lot of black grill. Sometimes they even paint the mirrors.
I saw it might have been our competitors. I don't know if we want to say their name. Not that they're listening. But I'm pretty sure, we don't mention them. Pretty sure they did a truck, and it was like argon blue and marsh gray. And like, it was two-tone, so the lower half was marsh gray.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're in Georgia.
They're in Georgia. There's no
okay.
They do. Yeah, all they do is like Super Duties. That's like it.
And they're
a Ford dealer.
Yeah.
But it was the wildest color match I've ever seen.
That one's cool though.
It was interesting.
I can see how it goes together.
They did a comparison between that one where it was a King Ranch too. I think it was 2 King Ranches, and they did the white one with like the King Ranch brown compared to the one he's talking about. They were like, which one's better?
I like the white. Really I like the white and
the white and the brown is nice.
That one was clean.
That's a good two-tone. Even the black and if you did a black and brown two-tone,
it'd be sweet.
Looks solid. But so lots of headlights. A lot of headlights. Which is good.
Yeah.
Now we got to ship them all out. So
are we doing pallets?
We'll probably throw them on a pallet. Yeah.
Okay.
If we can find out.
Order some straps.
Oh, I need to get straps. Yeah. Okay. Well, so that's you. Kenny's kind of been floating back and forth. He was doing some high build and
waiting on Jared to finish painting.
Yeah.
And waiting on lighting.
It's true. Yep. And I wrapped up that lift kit finally. So, I mean, at least it's on the ground. So,
that took what, all of 2 weeks?
It was a project. Yeah. I mean, it was hard because there was some days we didn't fully work on it because I was waiting on stuff. And, but it was once it got to the point of actually just putting the new parts on, that's when it goes fairly quick because it's like you're not struggling trying to get things off of the truck. That's why working on new trucks are kind of nice, because you're not really going to struggle getting the stuff off the truck. So, yeah, it was a process, but we got it done, and looks good. It was a hefty lift kit. And so on that note, Evan, what do you know about lift kits, leveling kits?
For the sake of our segment, absolutely nothing. Could you please enlighten me on what the difference between a leveling kit and a lift kit?
When I say, and you can be honest, when I say leveling kit, what does that mean to you?
Leveling kit, I would say, just happens on one end of the truck.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You're just most trucks come from the factory with a rake. Why do they call it rake? Sounds like a actual.
It probably comes from some old-timey thing that they first did with trucks, or it may have nothing to do with trucks at all.
Garden rake.
Might be talking about like wagons.
Throw it in there.
I feel like the
rake.
Wagons.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. It's like a, I don't know why they use the word rake, but essentially just means the front of the vehicle is lower than the rear, and the manufacturers do that on purpose because, I don't know, gas mileage.
I was gonna say,
they say
technically help with aerodynamics or something.
Yeah, technically does. Technically better for handling because you're heavier part of the vehicle on trucks, because most cars you see are not raked, but trucks, because bed of the trucks are not that heavy. But whereas you got all the weight in the front gives you more control there. So anyways, essentially just means lower in the front than it is in the rear. And so leveling kit is kind of what you're saying, where it just kind of brings that front of the vehicle up and levels it with the rear. There are some kits where you can do some in the rear as well, where you can you'll still call it a leveling kit.
My truck has that,
but yeah, it lifts the rear as well.
It has like an extra leaf spring and then just some different U-bolts, and I think it has some blocks.
Yeah.
So
it's fairly pretty much the same thing, other than you're adding something to the rear as well. So yeah, that's the leveling kit. And for leveling kits, you could spend, I mean, so let's say, for example, on like a F-150, like just for simplicity's sake, we'll do like an F-150 leveling kit here. And the way that these, so there's lots of different ways, which I'm going to kind of get into here on how you can level stuff. One of the easiest, cheapest, most simple leveling kit is what's called like a puck or a spacer leveling kit, which essentially is just this thing. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. We switch over here. So this is just a, 2.5 inch, which 2.5 inch on the F-150 is typically gets it perfectly level with the rear. 2.5 inch would mean that it has about that much rake on the front. And as you can see, this thing is like $75, which is pretty cheap. I just pulled this up. So, but yeah, this is a puck leveling kit. So these are usually just like solid metal of some sort, pucks that you'll put underneath the strut on the front of the vehicle. You know what the strut is, Evan?
Yeah, just
the
between the
between the
I don't know all my other terms.
Okay, so this is a strut. Okay, and this is a full actual leveling kit that does not take the puck. So this would actually be the leveling kit. So typically, factory, if you were to go out and look at your truck, if it's an F-150 or like I think half-ton Rams are like this, and GMs are not, because they use torsion keys, and there's like some like Tacomas have these.
Toyotas, I think.
Yeah, they're smaller than F-150s and stuff. And then like the kit that I just did, it was a coilover conversion kit on this older truck, Chevy. So, and I'll get into that a little bit, what that means. But anyways, for what this one is in this particular instance is, you take that puck that we just showed, and you're gonna put it on top of that strut there, the factory strut, and then it levels your truck. So essentially, it's just putting something on top of what kind of
just
is controlling the height of your truck. That's more, like I said, for an F-150. If you go like Super Duty suspension is different because it has a solid front axle, which means it's just essentially that, where it has a full axle on the front, whereas like GMs are independent front suspension, which typically uses something like this, or like control arms, torsion bars. Torsion bars are just, they're just what the factory uses to, it's part of the suspension design. Without getting too deep into the weeds of it all. But, so Super Duties would just use springs, and it's kind of actually the same idea on Super Duties for leveling kit, where you have those springs. They don't have the shock bodies in there like this one does on Super Duties. They just have essentially these springs, and they're heavier duty springs that sit there, and you put a puck on top of that, and then that's what levels it for that one, because it brings that spring up, so it pushes the body of the truck up from the distance from the axle to the body of the truck. And with that too, you'd obviously need to extend certain things, such as like your shocks. So some cheaper kits will come with shock extensions, or you can get new shocks. Some kits will come with like Super Duty trucks have what's called track bars. Other vehicles do too. I'm just, because I'm more familiar with those track bars. So they'll have a track bar relocation bracket, which essentially, because when you change the elevation and the geometry of your suspension, you're changing other stuff as well. So you're shifting that axle around. So that track bar is kind of what helps keep your axle centered within the truck. And so when you shift that axle in some way, shape, or form, you kind of want to keep it centered. So that track bar relocation bracket will recenter the axle, and allow it for it to kind of get back to factory suspension. Now, again, those are maybe some of the more cheaper leveling kits. You could spend anywhere from a couple $100 to a few $1,000s on just a leveling kit. All depends on the components you want to install. Some kits are very intentional on keeping the factory geometry, so they want to try to keep, as much of that original stuff as possible. Let me see if I can actually find a picture here of suspension like that. Let's see here. Is that making sense, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good example here of a Super Duty. So this is, I don't even know what this is. Something rough country. And we'll get into brands as well a little bit here in a second, because that's part of what's going to change how much you're spending on a lift kit. So this is Super Duty front kit. I don't even know what this was. What year is this? Oh, this is 2008 to 2010. I just wanted to show you the axle and stuff, and see how the springs are what is kind of, this obviously has its kit installed on it, so it's a little bit different, but it has your front axle here, right? And those springs is kind of what I'm talking about. That's what keeps the axle, for one, gives you a good ride, so it's, smoothish, and then keeps it the distance between the axle and the frame here. Radius arms right there. That's what kind of helps as well to stabilize that axle. So it's fairly simple as far as, this is a very simple suspension setup: straight axle, springs, radius arms. Your track bar is this guy right here that I was talking about. See that? Attaches the axle and then attaches the frame right here. Kind of keeps it centered. This one's got steering stabilizers here. Your tie rods for your steering run all the way across here. Your differential in the front, obviously. Anyways, there's a lot more there than that, but that just kind of helps you visualize it a little bit. Okay. So with that, you could, as far as like leveling kits for stuff such as this go, it's price wise. This kit's, I don't even know what this one is. That one, that's a 6-inch lift kit that we were just showing on there. And it's a rough country. So rough country is going to be a little bit lower as far as price goes. We technically install rough country, and what we do. Rough country is nice for selling it because their margins are pretty good. So you as a dealer make good money off selling stuff. A lot of people don't like their quality. They are cheaper, more of like a quote unquote budget brand. But to be quite honest with you, as far as like all the stuff that we've installed, like there's some stuff that's like, yeah, you can definitely tell it's not as quality as some of the other, but for the most part, they're not bad for the price. And we've had decent luck with people having good luck with the quality and stuff. Other people will have other stories, and there's obviously all comes down to how much money you're wanting to spend. Because if a customer comes in and is like, I got X amount of money, I only have a few $100 for a leveling kit, or even $1,000 for a lift kit, you can technically do it for the products itself. If somebody comes in and is like, I want a solid lift kit, I probably wouldn't push them towards a rough country if they're willing to spend a little bit more. Just because, like, for the other reason too is like ride and smooth comfortability. Not that rough countries are bad, but there's other kits that are going to get you a lot better, more factory-like ride. So, anyways, kind of back to the leveling kits and stuff like that. That's kind of like the basics of it. There's, like I said, lots of different leveling kits out there, and there's lots of different. Each manufacturer has a different design, so that changes things. People prefer GMs sometimes because they like how their suspension rides. They say it rides a lot smoother than some other stuff, which might be true. And it's just the design of it. That independent front suspension is typically a better ride because it's independent, how it flexes and stuff like that. So it, can absorb bumps and stuff like that differently than like a straight axle where it's all tied together. So, any questions on that part?
Nope.
No question?
That was good. Good explanation.
Now you know what you're looking for when you go for a leveling kit?
Right. My truck technically has a leveling kit, but yes.
So with yours being an older one, it's going to have more of that. I think yours has a solid front axle. Does it?
Yeah.
So it's going to have more something closely related to that Super Duty. Or it's just the springs. I don't know. I haven't done a leveling kit on an old Ram, so it could be different. But from what I think that's what it is. Okay.
You excited to do like 3 more?
What?
Leveling kit or lift kit installed?
So yeah, one of the other kits that we have in here, trucks that we have in here, it will be like a full-on 6-inch, 4-inch kit or something like that. And it's a GMC, so it's going to be, which we've done a lot of GMC ones, or GM ones recently. And then, yeah, there's another one customer that wanted done, was another 6-inch BDS kit on a half-ton GMC. Potentially. And then we have a Super Duty leveling kit. So, kind of that one that I was explaining with the track bar kit and the pucks and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I don't mind doing them. It's just like, yeah, if it's on like a truck where it's just like an older one, working on suspension and frame on old trucks is just hard to get apart. So,
You end up breaking a lot more things.
Yeah. Or like I had
intentionally breaking.
Yes. Or like I had to cut stuff off and order replacement parts, which probably should be done anyways, but it's just takes a time of how long that should take being like double. Yeah. Like I said, I don't mind them. They're just sometimes they're time consuming. But if the customer knows that and is willing to pay, that's fine. Anyways, that's a very basic overview on what leveling kits are. We'll get more into like brands and what different kind of leveling kits are in here a bit. But as far as lift kits, right? What's in your mind a lift kit, Kenny or Evan? I don't care.
Do you lift both sides? I'm a pro. I'm a pro at this, bro.
You're lifting the whole thing. So there is. I'll just cover it before we get into what we typically do. There's technically body lift kits. They're not very common. People don't do them that often, but it's essentially where you take the body of the truck and you raise it from the frame versus raising the frame from the suspension or the axles or whatever it is. And it's essentially, spacers or lift blocks. I think technically you could technically do that for a leveling kit as well, where you believe I've never installed one, nor do I really want to because I don't want to. Yeah, I'd rather do something on the suspension than lift the body from the body mounts of the frame. So, but that is a thing. Not very common. Lift kit, yes. And lift kits could be anywhere from technically 3-inch. I mean, then you could go, as high as you want. The higher you go, obviously, the more custom that kit's going to be than typical range for just a standard bolt-on lift kit, which is typically what we're installing, is like that 3-inch to 8. You can get some 10-inch bolt-on kits. We haven't done a ton of those. Most customers that we have are not looking for that. They want just a basic, more standardized 4 or 6-inch kit. So yes, you're going from stock to 3, 4, 6-inch, 8-inch, whatever it might be. And then those kits, because you're lifting, again, remember, we're trying to keep our geometry, everything in order, involves a lot more of some stuff. I'm going to go to, let's see here, maybe BDS. Just because we're dealers for BDS, so if you need anything BDS is a product that if people are willing to pay, I'm probably going to push them towards. We'll go to Super Duty lift kit here. But yeah, if they're willing to spend a little bit and want a decent lift kit and solid ride, good warranty, good finish on most of the powder coated pieces. That's the other thing with like rough country. The finish on some of the stuff is just going to be okay. Again, not that it's bad. It's just you get what you pay for. But yeah, I'm going to pull up a BDS on and their lift kits. Okay. So BDS has they call them suspension systems, which is a good name because then you're covering lift kits and leveling kits. They do 0 to 3, 4 to 5, all the way up to 10. So this is their 1.5 inch leveling kit, or sorry, 1 to 2 inch leveling kit. And that's another part is the adjustability of some of these kits, which we won't get into now. But some kits are adjustable, so you can go anywhere from negative 2 inches to positive 2 inches on whatever height in total that you're doing. But this is that kit I was telling you about. Simple but solid kit. You got your full-on spring replacements instead of doing pucks at the top. Track bar relocation bracket. New shocks all the way around. You don't have to do new shocks in the rear when you're doing a leveling kit. Just sometimes people do because you want them to match the front ones. That's their basic 1 2-inch kit. And again, you're a good bit more than like rough country. This one in rough country, you're probably like $300-400. So, you're doubling it somewhat there. 3-inch kit, kind of what I was saying for Super Duty. Now this one, remember these, Evan? What are those? What are those things right there?
I don't know.
Think of the bone in your arm.
Oh, the radius.
Nice. Radius arms. Okay. So this is a solid, like, takes kind of care of everything geometry wise with your suspension. 3-inch lift kit. It's doing your springs, obviously. Like I said, the radius arms. New track bar. Okay. So instead of just the bracket, this has an adjustable track bar. So this thing right here in the middle here, you can take and twist and it'll extend or suck in that track bar so that you have proper axle centering, that sort of thing. And then this one will have sway bar extensions, which is what these little things are. This is the rear kit. Oh, this is something we didn't talk about with the 11 kit. So on lift kits in the rear, there's, again, different ways you can do it. Typically on trucks, the way that the rears are done is they have what's called leaf springs, kind of what you were talking about, Kenny. Where they're those U-shaped things. That's the easiest way I can explain it. Most people probably know what a leaf spring is. But you have leaf springs that are what is providing that suspension for that rear axle. As far as I know, all trucks, at least heavier duty trucks, have solid rear axles. I don't think any would have independent rear suspension. On things like SUVs and stuff like cars, they're going to have independent rear suspension, stuff like that, just because it provides a smoother ride for that rear. But whereas a truck, you kind of want a solid axle because you have that differential that you can get that is going to take care of whatever it is that you're pulling, or you just need more. You need more girth back there, you know? So, yeah. So, anyways, for this kit in particular, this has blocks. And these blocks, where do these blocks go, Kenny?
They go underneath or where the leaf spring attaches so that it raises up.
Right. So you have the axle, straight axle. That leaf spring typically sits right on the axle, like this. Say this is the axle of this hand right here. This is your leaf spring, doing that little U shape, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it sits right on the top of that axle right there. So that block is going to punch itself in right here. It's going to go in between. So these 3 fingers right here are the leaf spring. This one finger is the block. See that?
Well, that was good.
Yeah. And then you have U-bolts that attach that leaf spring to the axle. It wraps around it, which is what these are for. So that's a rear suspension. It's very basic, very easy. The rears of the vehicle are quite simple to do when it's a just leaf spring situation. So, yeah, and then some kits will have full, instead of having blocks, they come with full replacement leaf springs, like this truck that we just did, and we'll probably get into. It comes with a lifted leaf spring kit, so it's going to provide that extra 3-inch, 6-inch, whatever it is, versus putting a block. It's probably a better way to go. Not that blocks are fine, but like if you're doing a full kit, instead of putting something in between that axle and that leaf spring, just get full complete replacement leaf springs.
That just costs you more money, though.
It does, yes, for sure. So, anyways, that's the basics of that, like that 3-inch kit there. We'll go down to
$6,000.
Yeah, so the further you go down on this, the more expensive you're gonna get. But again, you're kind of moving into more just in-depth territory on complications, more parts of these lift kits. So this is a 5-inch, pretty much the same thing as that one, that 3-inch, but it's, again, since we're going higher, we're changing more things. So this one comes with right here. That's your pitman arm. So that's what attaches to your steering, your power steering shaft to your tie rod, and then from there we'll go to your tie rod links, I think. So what you call them? That's at least what I call them. And so that's because you're going higher, you need to correct some of that. Other than that, it's a fairly simple, or more of a pretty much the same as that 3-inch kit. Springs, shocks, blocks for the rear, obviously bigger because we're going 5 inches, and track bar kit, all that. This one has a steering stabilizer as well, replacement one. So steering stabilizer essentially attaches to the frame and then attaches to your tie rod so that it helps dampen that steering a little bit. One common thing on, like, just a side note on trucks, Super Duty trucks, I think more common with it is what's called the death wobble. So where you're driving and your truck just starts shaking uncontrollably, the steering wheel, because something is not correct on your suspension geometry there, and so it's just causing the vibration, extreme vibration. Steering stabilizers can help with that. Probably something more is going to be like track bar or something like that, just to kind of correct that geometry. Okay. So then you get into some of these more in-depth kits. Okay. Let's just go to, we'll do their 6-inch. Let's see. Let's do this guy. Okay. Actually, this is a coilover conversion. Okay. Okay, so this is a 7-inch BDS coilover conversion kit, and as you can see, she's $6,700. But this is a pretty in-depth kit. So these, and as you can see from here, it is a 4-link kit. Okay, which is not like super complicated. What it's essentially doing is, from this kit, we're missing something from the other ones. We're technically missing something that we had on the other kits. Do you remember? Do you see anything that we're not have here, Evan?
Radius arms.
Nice, good. Okay, so these bars, these links, are what is replacing those radius arms. So that's the 4-link, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 links.
I feel like I'm back in 2nd grade right now. It's nice.
And this is, again, it's just more like there's adjustability with this kit that's supposedly on some of these kits better ride when you're changing it to like a 4-link. And there's probably a lot more reasons than that. I'm just not that much of a suspension guru, so I don't know. But you're gonna have these brackets are what's gonna attach to these links, and then these attach to the axle up front here. So that's what those are. It's just a 4-link kit, and again, it's when you go. I think also too, the higher you get, the more you're gonna have to change to something of this style, just because of how you're adjusting and changing the geometry of that front. So, and then this one, obviously, coilover conversion. So this is essentially the same as the kit we just did, where this, as you can tell from the F-150s, the shock body is inside the coil spring, right? Typically on Super Duties or trucks that don't come from the factory with it, they don't come like this. And so this is because some people prefer the ride of a coilover better. You'll want to switch to this. And yeah, for this kit, you're gonna it's a good bit more in depth as far as the install goes, because you're kind of switching up the entire front suspension from what it came with from the factory to more of a you're not necessarily like switching to like that independent front suspension style. You're just changing the shocks and the coils, and kind of combining them into one on the front, that is, of the vehicle. Where, yeah, typically on the Super Duties you have this coil that sits by itself, and then the shock sits next to it. But this, you're combining the two of them. So this kit will come with brackets and stuff like that to bolt on and kind of take care of that and combine those. The rear of the kit on this one, again, you can do blocks. It gives you the option to do lift blocks, but also too, you can do full leaf springs, which then changes it to this where you get the leaf springs. These are pretty girthy, but that's a full I mean, it's what, an extra $1,000? An extra $1,000 for a full leaf spring. Oh, which is, yeah, like I said, a good route to go if you are wanting to spend money. Probably going to give you a little bit better ride in the rear. And the other note too on these ones, I bet you're wondering what these little things are, huh?
Oh yeah, I am.
These little, they're called reservoirs.
Mm.
Typically and really realistically, for a good reason, you're only going to see these on, or sorry, you'll see these on lots of things. Realistically, what they're meant for is like Baja racing trucks. Because you're getting so much action in the shock body when you're doing races like that, that it can pull from the reservoir and kind of help that circulation of the gases and stuff that's inside the shock body. For daily driver, like pavement trucks, do you need reservoirs? Not really. They look cool. They might give you a little bit better rideability, but for the cost, in my opinion, like if I was to do it, I mean, they look cool. So if you want it for that purpose, and yes, probably a little bit better ride, but unless you're actually really using those shocks to their full potential, not necessary. So that's what those are, reservoirs. And they typically just, these ones mount right next to the shock body on the rears, and then the fronts, you'll get a bracket, which is actually this guy right here that sits on top of the coil, and then this loops up the reservoir and then mounts to the top of that. So, yeah, that's kind of like a more in-depth bolt-on kit. Again, not as in-depth as you can get. We could get into, like, you could go to any level or something like that, where an any level kit is really, they only, as far as I know right now, make them for Super Duties. I thought at one point they were going to do GMs and then move into Rams, but they really, I think they only do Super Duties still. Last time I checked. Could be wrong. But that's like a full, complete custom $30,000-$40,000 kit. Hydraulics, that's how that controls it. Complete kind of one-off kit. They're cool, but yeah, that's kind of like show build sort of stuff. So like you could obviously go that route, but for somebody more like daily driver, this is technically, somebody might still put it on a daily driver, maybe go a little bit less in depth potentially. But yeah, as far as doing like some of those more 10, 12-inch kits, you're probably not going to be installing that often. So I think that at least on the Ford side, again, GM's going to be a little bit different. I guess I'll just show it while we're at it, just so you can kind of see the difference of like what a GM kit might consist of, just because, again, suspension's different. I'm not going to get into Rams too much because they're kind of similar to Super Duties because they do have that solid front axle. But let me see here. We'll do like a new GMC. We'll do a 24 GMC, CR 2500, Denali, diesel. That's interesting. GMC doesn't make gassers in their Denali's, where Ford makes gassers in their Platinums on their Super Duties. Which, if I'm buying one, I probably wouldn't buy a gasser if I'm buying a Super Duty or a HD truck, but okay. Leveling kit, just real quick. Or sorry, more of that 3-inch basic lift kit. Oh my gosh, that's not really that basic. It's a $6,000 lift kit. This one, sorry, 3-inch on the GMC. So these upper control arms, okay? So because I feel like I'm gonna need to show you the front suspension on something like that. Let me see here, GMC front. So let's do this. Okay. So this picture right here. Let's see if I can zoom. There we go. Okay, so this is a custom kit, so it's not the same as factory, which is not helpful, but this is the best picture I could find. Quick enough. Control arm is what sits up here, okay, that we were just referring to, and this has a lower control arm, okay? And this is how it has its independent front suspension. because then these control arms will connect to brackets on that are attached to the frame on each side, and then they have what's called a knuckle. That's what you call it, steering knuckle. It's what your front CV axle, 4-wheel drive, put simply, will go through and then connect to your hub here on the tire, the wheel. And then you have your coilover. So this is a coilover conversion kit on GMs like this from the factory. You're not gonna have this. It would just be a shock, essentially, and then you have your torsion bar that I don't have a good picture of it here, but it essentially goes through the back of the control arm here and then goes towards the middle of the vehicle and then attaches from there. Okay. So I don't know if that was helpful or not, but that kind of gives you a rough idea. So back to this kit. So you have your upper control arms. So when you raise a GMC or like something with independent front suspension, this goes for like F-150s too. You're changing the distance of that knuckle. Remember that knuckle? To the control arm. Okay. So when you do that, you're stressing that ball joint right here because this ball joint attaches to the top of that knuckle. Okay. So when you do a different control arm, you are kind of correcting that so that that ball joint's not being stressed or bent to a certain point. That's not going to be ideal. You can get away with a lot of kits, leveling kits, usually without replacing the control arm because you're not changing it too much. But when you go something like 3-inch, recommended that you change that control arm just to correct that angle of that control arm, and that ball joint there. So this one, these are what they call the keys, torsion bar keys. This is part of what I could not get out of that truck because they were rusted. So you see this hexagonal shape? That torsion bar runs. These installed towards the middle of the vehicle in like a cross member piece, and then that torsion bar runs through that cross member into these keys, and those keys are held in by a bolt and a bracket that changes how far you adjust those will change the look of that front suspension. Probably getting like way too into weeds with explaining enough of it, but anyways, that's just what those keys are. So, and then it has rear lift blocks, some hardware for the rest of the kit, for the 3-inch, and then obviously shocks. Okay, so that's a basic GM kit. Now, if we go to something a little bit more in depth, such as like that, let's see here, coilover and conversion kit. Let's see. Yeah, we'll do this guy. So, got an almost $8,000 lift kit. And this one, somewhat similar to the Super Duty, but again, different because GMs do not have that front axle, that straight front axle. So with here, you're getting cross members like this. And again, remember the control arms are what are attaching to those lower control arms. So you get a front cross member. Sorry, this is probably a front cross member, rear cross member, and differential stuff, differential brackets for that front differential if you got 4-wheel drive, because you got to drop that thing. That's the other big thing because it's independent front suspension. That differential is mounted to the frame more so than it is kind of on its own. When you have that straight front axle, that differential sits in the axle, so you don't have to worry about dropping that, obviously. So that's the biggest difference between the two. And then yeah, you have your knuckles here that I was talking about. So this top part is what attaches to those upper control arms. This is the bottom part that attaches to the lower control arm. Your brake caliper will attach over here. Your whatchamacallit, CV axle will run through there for your 4-wheel drive. That shaft will go through here, and then your steering Your tie rods attach right here to that knuckle. Okay. And then shocks, obviously coilovers. This is a coilover conversion kit, so it's going to be similar to that other one that we were kind of explaining, where you're going to have brackets and stuff. And this one does away with the torsion keys because it's a coilover conversion, so it takes care of that side of things. So you don't need torsion keys on these ones anymore, which is why it doesn't have it. You got your shocks. This one has a rear block, but again, you could do the maybe they only have on this kit, they only have block option. Yeah. So they only have block option on this BDS kit, and then this lower control arms, which is kind of interesting. This one comes with lower control arms. A lot of kits don't come with lower control arms. They'll utilize factory control arms. These ones are beefy girls. And then your upper control arms here. And then sway bar links, all that sort of stuff. So very, very broad overview of something like that, but that's essentially the difference between certain basic, more basic bolt-on kits. You go from spending something on like a lift kit, $1,000, couple $1,000, all the way up to 7,000-8,000 plus, depending on what you're after. Same with leveling kits. You go a couple $100 all the way up to a couple thousand. Like you just saw that 3.5-inch kit that was $6,000. So, which is technically still a lift kit, but not a very high lift kit. So, is that kind of good? Too much?
Nope.
Scattered?
No, it was good.
Okay. Yeah. That kind of just explains the overview of some of the suspension and what you're kind of looking for when you're maybe going to lift or level your truck. And then obviously, depending on what kit you go with, that's going to change installation times, which, like for us, it's going to change how much labor is going to end up being, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, as far as brands, I mean, BDS is more mid, I would say on the upper side of mid, probably more higher end kits. Yeah, I'm gonna go, they're probably closer to higher end. BDS has a sister company called Zone Suspension. They're probably more of that upper mid range. Rough Country, most people are gonna put them in the lower tier as far as quality and price, because it follows. But yeah, they're probably gonna be more towards like your lower end kit.
The thing is, if you're trying to like replace all this, you might as well just save up your extra couple $1,000 and go with the decent one.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just trying to, like, on a leveling kit, and if you're just like, all I want is for it to match, I'm like, sure, spend a couple $100. And maybe later on down the road, you can replace something. But yeah, if you're going like 6-inch kit, you don't have to do a coilover conversion kit. Yeah. Like, but I mean, I would expect if you want something solid, really, if you want it to ride well,
you kind of pay for what you get.
Yeah.
With what?
Yes. Kits. If you want it to ride well and you want it to last, go with something that's a little bit higher end. Again, if somebody's like, I don't want to spend that much, then I'll sell you Rough Country. I don't have a problem installing that for the most part. But if you do have the money, maybe go a little bit more into like a BDS kit. There's also, again, some kits are more focused on rideability. So there's kits like Carly Suspension is one of them. Quite expensive. And they have kits that are just leveling kits that are thousands of dollars, but they are known for how smooth they are and how well they ride. And so, yeah, if somebody's like, I want a leveling kit that rides stupid good, then you're gonna be like, okay, you're gonna want something like this. I don't know that they have really many high lift kits like inch wise. They're more focused on leveling plus ish kits that ride super well. And then there's some companies, I think their name is like One Up Off-Road or something like that. They're really focused on maintaining factory geometry. And so they have they're expensive, but they have brackets and they're all like measured perfectly. All their angles and parts and pieces for leveling kits and maybe some basic lift kits, not like super extra lift kits. But they ride super well because they are maintaining all that factory geometry and stuff like that. So, but then too, like with shocks and stuff like that, Fox is very common, and Fox and BDS are the same company, so that's why BDS sells a lot of Fox. BDS has their own shock brand, but then you have brands like King suspension, which are expensive, but again, those are more for like they're more of like that Baja off-road brand, but they sell stuff for trucks that people want to put on trucks because they look cool and they're that brand name that they're obviously gonna perform really well. But yeah, so that's kind of shocks, and then you have like Bilstein, which is more like a mid tier, very good price point on some of that stuff. And there's so many options out there too, because like I was saying, I'll have customers come in and they'll be like, "Hey, I want a lift kit." And you're like, "Okay, do you know what you want?" And they're like, "I think I want like this much." And you're like, "Okay, how much you want to spend?" You're like, "I don't really know." And you're like, "I mean, you could spend like tons of money or not that much money." And then it's like, "Okay, what brand do you want to go with? What do you want out of the lift kit?" All that sort of stuff. Yeah. But there's a lot more into that. Maybe we'll do maybe more of like a specific in-depth dive on some of this stuff. But as far as overall, what is a leveling kit, lift kit, you know,
good.
and what are the kind of components of it and what to be looking for as far as what's going to affect how your truck rides, how it looks, all that sort of stuff. So, any question? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know.
Now you know.
All right.
That's good.
Well, that was our
Thank you.
way too much in-depth section on lift kits.
That's good.
So, and I feel like I'm the only one that's talked about.
That's fun.
I'll let you guys talk about.
People just enjoy listening to you talk about suspension.
They probably don't, but I'll let you guys talk about sports. You got any sports stuff?
Lots of sports happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, kid. Talk about some
you
basketball.
talk about Boise State.
Well,
Boise State lost.
You guys know more about that than
we're kind of all in conference tournaments at the moment. Basketball wise, we
lots
got
of games on today.
World Baseball Classics going on. We got golf is happening.
Players Championship started today.
Yep. We got lots. It's happening. It kind of sucks because we're in like a really good sports time, but there's no football. So it's kind of like
you get football news though.
True, free agency's happening.
Had a big free agency, huh?
Free agency moves. Max Crosby's going back to the Raiders.
Max Crosby got traded to Baltimore from Las Vegas for 2 first-round picks, and then took his physical, and apparently something scared Baltimore. So they backed out.
People are saying they should have known though.
Yes.
Well,
he had knee surgery, so you should do the physical before he gets to Baltimore, right? But his doctor said he was ahead of schedule. So I think the consensus around the league is that they got cold feet and just kind of got scared when they lost their 2 first-round picks. So then they kind of backed out of that one and went to Trey Hendrickson, which is who both Kenny and I wanted him on our teams just because he's a free agent, so you can just pay him as opposed to trade picks for him. But
Baltimore sucks.
Yeah, Baltimore's defense.
Hate Baltimore.
They have Roquan Smith at linebacker, fantastic. They have Kyle Hamilton at safety, fantastic, but that's about it. Now they got Trey Hendrickson, but they need a lot more work on their defense before they can become relevant on the defensive side of the ball, that is. But lots of trades. I feel like that was probably our biggest trade happening. You got Mike Evans going to San Fran. Couple other free agency moves, but nothing too big, I would say.
Geno Smith to the Jets.
Yep. They're just trying to tank. I swear.
Don't they have your picks for this year?
They have 2 firsts this year, but also 2 firsts next year.
Yeah.
So
they've got 4 firsts.
Yeah.
And a bunch of seconds, I think. So
yeah, I think they're trying to get their picks this year. Have Geno start at quarterback so he can tank them so they get good picks next year, and then make a run.
Crazy.
We'll see.
Yeah. I don't think they liked the QB draft class this year.
Yeah.
Because it's not great.
Yeah.
Fernando's like the consensus best QB, and he'll probably go to the Raiders.
A lot of juniors went back is the thing.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because you get paid now.
Yeah.
I mean, what's his face? Bryce Underwood for Michigan, before he ever played a snap of college football, got a $10 million contract for Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, guys just, they can make a lot of money, play less games, and just build their draft stock.
Yeah. I saw this thing, and it was Pat McAfee, and they were talking, and it said, who's going to win 2 playoff games first, the Jets or the Browns? And that was like, they were trying to figure out who would win 2 playoff games first. And they were like, well, as of right now, the Browns have like a better roster, but the Jets have a bunch of picks. But then they were all just like, neither of them are ever going to win 2 playoff games back to back. So we'll see how that goes. But
that's crazy. Huh.
Missing football season, but she's coming back. Baseball's starting up.
Yeah.
World Baseball Classics.
When's opening day?
I'm not sure. March.
April or something?
Is it?
No, it's got to be end of March.
I think it's March 28th.
Is it March?
Blue Jays opening
It is.
day.
I think it's like 27th for the Cardinals, or 26th.
Okay.
But coming up quick. World Baseball Classics are USA moved on thanks to Italy. I don't get the run differential thing. It's so complicated. But anyway, we needed Mexico to win and score 5 runs or more, or Italy to just win. So Italy won. So we moved on. And we play,
Vinny.
Guess who? Canada in the elimination round. So maybe we could beat them in hockey, men's hockey, women's hockey, and baseball. That'd be kind of nice.
It's kind of depressing.
Yeah. The DR is looking unbeatable, though.
It's also because they're playing like basically at home.
Yeah.
And it's a party. I will say
balls.
They yeah. I would love to have grown up in the Dominican and played baseball there. That would have been awesome.
Kenny wants to be Dominican.
Yeah. I can see it.
They do. They love their baseball.
Baseball is king
Yeah.
in the DR, and it's not close.
Yeah.
And some of the best baseball players in the world have come from the Dominican. If you look at just the managers for the team this year.
Guerrero.
Not that guy. He's not the manager. But you got Albert Pujols, who's one of only 4 members, of the 700 home run club. And then David Ortiz, who
Big
is
Poppy,
the savior of Boston Red Sox sports. Yeah. Two of the best hitters of all time.
Yeah.
Are just their managers.
That is true.
And we have a guy who couldn't get our team not drunk to play one game.
They're out there just having a party. That's all they're doing. But it's working.
Well, yeah.
We'll see. Do we know when that game is? It might be a couple days from now.
Friday.
Friday?
Tomorrow. Yep.
And then conference championships this week.
Yeah. Lots of games.
Basketball.
There's a few teams that have already punched their tickets.
Idaho.
Idaho is one of them. Vandals. Go Vandals.
Not Boise State.
No, Boise State lost first round to a 8-20 some.
That's rough.
San Jose State, who is terrible. And we're playing, I don't even know. I think it was in Vegas, but still. Yeah. Like, I watched half of it. We just look so bad. Like, there's 2 players that can do stuff on the Boise State team, and then it's like, so we just could not win.
Well,
there were certain games where we looked good, and I was like, okay, we can make a run. And then other games, I'm just like, we don't even know how to play basketball. They are eliminated, not making the tournament. Yeah. But now we can root for Idaho.
A week from today, doesn't the tournament start?
Yeah, a week from. Okay. Well, yeah.
I think it starts like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Those are the playing games.
Those are the playing. Yeah. You have the first 4 games, but yeah, Thursday.
Can we? What time's the first game on Thursday? I was gonna say we could do our a live stream like bracket pick'em.
Oh, that's true.
On like right before.
I think we should be fine because I think
I want to say 10.
I think it's 10.
So if we start it, we could probably do it. Maybe we'll do it next week. We'll do a live stream.
Let's do it.
Bracketology.
That'd be nice.
And fill out a bracket.
Yeah.
Each one of us can. Well, we'll figure it out. Anyways. Yeah. But
anyway, Idaho is projected to play Michigan in the first round, so we're gonna get
nice clapped. That's according to Joe Lenardi. But
yeah.
Never
interesting.
You never know.
Guess we'll see.
Could mix it up.
Well, exciting stuff. And it's supposed to be warm, which is just so nice when it's nice outside. Just warms my soul, you know. Yeah. Gives me a little little tingly feelings inside when it's like, oh man, it's nice to be. And it's lighter for longer.
That's true. I am excited about that.
The daytime changed. The daylight savings that we're saving time for.
Stupid.
Changed.
For no reason.
Yeah. Yeah. If we could, I feel like, well, let's just make it this time all year long. Like
what changes in the winter? If we kept this time, it would be darker at like 5, right?
It would just get darker earlier.
Yeah, it would get dark super early, but it'd still be light.
No, wouldn't it? No. It wouldn't get light until later in the morning.
But it would,
because and it would stay, light for a little bit longer through the day. Because just like what happened this week, where we sprung forward, so we gained more daylight, that would essentially be what would happen. So in the morning, it would be like 8:30 before it actually the sun rises.
Gotcha.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It's hard to get out of bed, though.
It is.
Still dark outside.
And cold.
Dark and cold.
They probably, I mean, yes, I don't know. But that's the thing, like, not everybody does it, like, doesn't Arizona not participate?
Yeah, like Mexico doesn't participate.
There's certain parts of the
Arizona hasn't done it for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird that you think about it, like, you're in the same time zone, but you have a different time.
They also are closer to the equator, and they get a more consistent amount of sun, and it's consistently warmer there anyway, so it doesn't matter.
We would essentially move to Central Time, and then back to Mountain Time, I believe. If we didn't change, and the rest of the country did.
That'd be nice on football Sundays.
Yeah.
Getting Central Time.
That is true. I think that's how it works.
Then we get
games start at 12.
We get 12 o'clock kickoffs.
Yep. Noon and
because instead of it being
4:25,
11, it would be 12.
Yeah.
And
or in 3:25.
Yeah. That'd be crazy.
That's what it was at college, and it was honestly really nice because I could watch the full morning game, the first half of the afternoon game, and then the full Sunday night game. Whereas right now it's
later.
That's true.
Because the game's not
Eastern
until like 11.
is the worst.
Eastern's bad.
Eastern does suck.
It was
games
so
start
annoying.
at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It was so terrible.
Yeah. Mountain West is a solid time, especially for like college sports, because they start at 10 on a Saturday, and then the last game's at 5:30. Like football season, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And then it's over at like 8, and then you can still catch a late game and
catch Hawaii.
You know. Yeah. You can catch a Mountain West now Pac-12 game that's at 8:30 or 8. Yeah. So Mountain West is good for that, but like for something like football season,
terrible.
We'll see. We'll start a petition for the daylight. I know people already have.
Oh, so. I was gonna say there's a lot of people that don't like it.
This one's hard though too, because it's like you could go to bed. Technically, you're going to bed. So say you go to bed at 10 o'clock. You're technically going to bed at 9, right? Realistically.
Right.
But then you're waking up. Say you wake up at like 7. You're technically waking up at 6. And it's way harder to wake up because you're waking up technically an hour early. But anyways, we'll survive.
Yes, so.
We'll survive. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
I'm going to get out of here. Go get some work done. And you're going to install some power steps, Kenny. And Evan's got more headlights to seal. And Jared's got more stuff to paint.
We need to golf sometime.
Yeah, we'll golf soon. We'll take Ron for a ride.
Yeah, you got to set
Ron's avionics.
We got to go golfing to get back into it, and then we'll set up our spring. Yeah. We need to have a spring and a fall.
Yep.
Because then we can,
We can do it.
Yeah.
All right. Sometime soon we'll go. But anyways, all right. I think that about does it.
Yep.
We will, we'll see you next week. Probably we'll do a live stream bracketology.
I like that.
And pick some games.
Watch, Jared's actually going to come next
week. He will probably.
We'll get Jared to show up.
Yep. All right. Hope you all have a good weekend. And enjoy the sunshine. And go experience Jesus and community on Sunday.
Oh, that was good.
We love y'all. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.